Hello everybody, this is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard, and today I am going to give an introduction to a guided interdimensional meditation to the planet Mercury and the light beings associated with that planet to bring knowledge, communication, and discernment. Hi, welcome to the channel, and this is another one of the meditations for the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course, which you can find at thunderwizard.com. Welcome to the channel. So I do have a new book that I just recently published on Audible, Kindle, and on Amazon, Interdimensional Revolution, How Humans and Extraterrestrials Are Working Together to Destroy the Deep State 3D Matrix. These interdimensional meditations are a practical way that you can actually poke a hole through the dimensional barrier between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. And every time you do that, you take away a little more power from the deep state and you free your mind a little bit more. And if you're lucky, you might have a really intense experience. I'm going to share with you an experience I had when I did an interdimensional meditation to Mercury a while back. It absolutely, completely blew my mind. I still have not even begun to be able to totally understand what happened. I'll share with you what that is. But we're going to talk about what you can expect when you do an interdimensional meditation to the planet Mercury. So Mercury is called discernment. In Vedic astrology, the planet Mercury is called Buddha. And it sounds exactly like the name of the avatar, the religion, Buddhism. And Buddha means discernment. Now, if you have in your chart, in your Vedic astrological chart, by the way, if you want to figure all this stuff out, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com and get a reading with me or one of my astrologer apprentices, and you can understand some of these things on a deeper level. But if you have a destiny with the planet Mercury, especially if you have a destiny with the religion Buddhism, this means that you have a destiny in this life to connect the head and the heart, because that's what Buddhism really is about. The avatar Buddha, he really didn't even talk about spirituality. What he talked about was non-attachment, to be aware of yourself, to be aware of your surroundings, to be aware of others, and to not be attached, to not be emotionally reactive, but to be emotionally aware. And as you know, the Buddhist religion, one of the main focuses is to have compassion without attachment. And this is really what the planet Mercury wants to give. Now, Mercury is known as the communicator. People, get bent out of shape when Mercury goes retrograde and their communications go wrong and their, computer goes wrong or the internet or whatever. But really what Mercury wants to do is Mercury wants to take the intellect and wants to raise it to a higher level of spiritual awareness. Now, let's talk about the intellect. The intellect is what most modern people think of when you say the mind. Actually, the mind is not the intellect. The mind is the meditative part of you that reflects the same way that the moon reflects. In fact, the word mind and the word moon comes from the same idea, the same linguistic source. And the moon means to reflect the sun. The mind reflects the soul. So when you when you do actual meditation and you tap into your meditative mind, you are able to reflect from a soul's perspective what's going on in your life, what's going on in the world. And this way you don't get wrapped up. You'll be able to know what's going on and to be able to respond accordingly without being emotionally triggered or attached. And this is also called discernment. And this is one of the goals of Mercury. Mercury on the lower vibrational level gets you trapped in your intellect. Intellect is a Latin word. It means to pick apart from among. Actually, the word to read in Latin is legere, which means to pick apart, because Latin script didn't have words and punctuation. It just had a bunch of letters. So you had to know the Latin language to be able to read it and know where the words stopped. So what you were doing is you were picking out the words as you read it. So to read was to pick out the words from all of those symbols. So the intellect means to pick apart from inside, to pick apart from among. And it's helpful when you need to figure out how to drive a car, how to tie your shoes, what the rules are. But it's really bad left by itself when it comes to understanding your emotions. In fact, people who have certain aspects of Mercury going on in their chart, these are people who try to explain what's going on. They do a lot of mansplaining, and people can't relate to them emotionally. So people who have too much Mercury without any spiritual evolution of that Mercury, they tend to distance people when they're actually trying to connect. But they think talking about something, about the specifics of something, intellectualizing it, connects people, but it actually doesn't. Your emotions connect people. So the planet Mercury, on a spiritual level, what it wants to do is it wants to give you the ability to put into words your feelings. It wants to give you the ability to manage your feelings and be able to see the forest for the trees and be able to connect while still being smart. Being smart isn't wise. Those are two different things. Wise comes from the word for vision, wise. To be able to see and feel and understand is not the same as to know something, have intellectual knowledge. So we're going to do a guided interdimensional meditation to Mercury, and I can't say what's going to happen for you, because my experience is that these meditations can be, I'll tell you the story that I went through in a little bit, but I don't know what's going to happen for you. The focus of this meditation for you should be to, hear whatever message the light beings want to give you. So let's talk about the light beings very quickly. The light beings are you. You are a light being. You are a light being that has incarnated. You're actually an avatar. You have incarnated your infinite point of light consciousness that is multidimensional. It is actually a very infinitely bright point of light, which is your soul. And your soul has come into this three-dimensional body to experience three-dimensional physical reality and all kinds of other things. So light beings are the same as you. They're souls who are perhaps incarnated in higher dimensional spheres. So higher dimensional spheres means that they function on a much more intense level. Now, they're not superior to you, but it's just that they're not limited by the third dimension, which you are. So from your experience, when you interact with them, they will feel like you're talking to the gods, you're talking to angels, you're talking to, and this isn't to take anything away from them. There are some incredibly powerful light beings. And there's all different kinds, and they have different personalities. So every planet in our solar system has light beings that are either visiting that planet or are meditating or are using that planet's energy to help influence people on Earth. So let me tell you something really interesting about light beings. The thing about light beings, unlike you and I, is that they can have ongoing, extremely intimate, deep interactions with an infinite number of people. And the only reason that they're able to do that is because they're in a higher dimension. In the third dimension, we are only able to interact with ourselves. We're very isolated. We might be able to have a one-on-one conversation with one person, but in terms of having a two-way conversation, we really can't do that with more than one person. It's impossible, especially if everybody's talking at the same time. But imagine if you're in a room filled with 100 people and you are having a intimate back and forth conversation with all 100 people simultaneously. And they are also having an interactive conversation with every other person in the room simultaneously. This is what higher dimensional beings are able to do. So, all of the beings that are associated with planet Mercury are doing this in ways we can't imagine, but also with every single person on planet Earth. That's why every single person can be worshiping, let's say, a deity associated with Mercury, and that deity can have a personal, deep, totally intimate, private connection with literally every single person on planet Earth. All right? If that doesn't blow your intellect, since we're talking about Mercury, I don't know what will. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a shamanic journey to the planet Mercury on an interdimensional level, and we are going to see if we can get a power transfer, because each planet has its own energy, higher dimensional energy, which should align us with a higher dimensional intellectual space similar to a Buddhist experience. I have no idea, I can't speak for you what you'll experience. We're also going to seek to have an awareness of our emotions without being totally consumed by them. To be able to take conscious, knowledgeable action and awareness while still being completely aware of all of our emotions. Now, let me talk about planets for a second. So planets are not balls of gas and rock. They are in the third dimension. You go to any of the planets in any of our solar system, and that's what you're going to find. You're going to find some combination of all gas, or gas and rock, and water and rock and gas, and you're going to, all kinds of stuff like that. And that's what we experience in the third dimension. But there are multiple worlds on top of each other. And so every planet has multiple experiences, multiple universes that express differently. And so you can experience each planet completely differently. This is just how Mercury experiences itself in the third dimension. The reason why there's life on planet Earth is because planet Earth is designed to be a three-dimensional planet. So that's why life flourishes on Earth. We go to Mercury, there's no life there. There is, just not in our dimension, not in our vibration. If we were to shift to a different vibration, we're going to find a planet filled with life, filled with beings, okay? But the planet itself is in fact a higher dimensional being. One of the things that you will find in the third dimension is that when higher dimensional beings manifest into 3D, one of the main ways that they manifest is as a sphere. And imagine, if you're sticking your finger into water, right? A little bit of your finger comes through, then more and more and more. Well, in the third dimension, when anything from a higher dimension comes into the third dimension, it starts as a little orb. And then the more of that being that comes into the third dimension, that orb grows and grows and grows. So we're dealing with planets. Planets are higher dimensional beings that have stuck their head into the third dimension. And we see them as these spherical planets, but they're actually entities with consciousness. Maybe not in the way that we immediately relate to, but you can communicate with them and you can interact with them. So we're going to interact with the planet and with the light beings that are surrounding it. And that will be in the guided meditation, which you can be a part of. You go to thunderwizard.com, scroll around and subscribe to the Interdimensional Shamanic Meditation course. And let's see, is this it? Yeah, subscribe to the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course. And then you can just go right in and press play, and I will take you through the guided meditation. In that meditation, we'll go to Mercury, we'll interact with the planet, we'll interact with the light beings, and then you will invite them back. And this is when all of the crazy stuff could happen. You invite them back, you come back into your body, you stay in a meditative state, and you wait for them to arrive. And when they do, that's when real intense stuff can happen. So let me share with you what happened for me. So I started doing CE5, which is called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind Protocol, which is human-initiated contact with higher dimensional beings of light. You can also call them extraterrestrials because Earth is a 3D planet. So any being that's not part of 3D, by definition, is extraterrestrial. They might actually have bodies in a higher dimension. They might be from other planets, all of that. So ET doesn't mean aliens. Aliens is an Earth thing. ETs are actually higher dimensional beings, perhaps from other planets or solar systems, but definitely from higher dimensions. So I started doing that, and I started to take it on a deeper level. What the average person does with CE5, which is actually a tremendous amount of fun. You can go and research this on YouTube or Google, and you can do it yourself. Is they go out into somewhere at night, sit on a lawn chair, and they do the protocol where they meditate, and then they leave their body and they go out and they ask, is anybody out there? Any light beings that want to communicate? And then you sit back and you wait. You may have a personal meditative experience, but there might be something that happens. A UFO will show up, or some kind of light phenomenon, or all kinds of crazy things can happen. And the whole point of it is to open you up to the understanding that we live in a multidimensional universe and that we are part of a much larger community of conscious spiritual beings. That's really the point of CE5. Well, I decided to take this deeper. I don't have anything against the light show. It's fun and definitely mind-blowing. But I wanted to have personal interaction. I wanted to get deeply, spiritually, energetically, mentally, and emotionally connected. I wanted to learn from these beings energy practices. So I started taking this indoors, and I would just do the protocol where I leave my body and I go and I see who's there. And then I started going, you know what? I'm not going to just wait around for them to come to me. I'm going to go to them. So I started traveling in my ethereal body. I started traveling to different planets, different galaxies, and I started having these amazing experiences. And I started, as a result of that, beings from many different dimensions, many different planets, many different solar systems and galaxies started coming and visiting me here on Earth. So this became a regular thing. In fact, it is a regular thing. Almost on a daily basis, I will do this, and beings will come and interact with me. But one of the greatest things that I get, and these beings can be incredibly generous, is they give me very powerful energy transmissions that are more intense than anything I've ever experienced in my entire adult life of doing highly advanced spiritual practices. So this is what you're going to do, and we're going to do this in the guided meditation. Now let me tell you what happened to me. So this is early on in my experimentation. As soon as I started doing this and was serious about it, the light beings met me at my level of seriousness, and they started showing up on a daily basis, coming to visit me on a daily basis in their energy bodies. And they would show up in the middle of the day, sometimes in the middle of the night. They would, all times of day and night, giving me messages, giving me energy, taking me on journeys through the universe, showing me how the universe works. I talk about this in my books, Interdimensional Revolution, as well as my other book, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. You can get that on audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. So I went to Mercury. I said, I'm going to now travel to planet Mercury. I went to Jupiter, and I had the most powerful energy transmission I've ever experienced in my life. So I wanted to see what happens when I went to Mercury. So I did. I went to Mercury. I spent some time floating around the planet. I invited any Mercurian light beings to come and notice me, to say hello to me, and then I invited them back to my home. Now, I did this at night. Sometimes when I do interdimensional meditations, I fall asleep. It takes a lot of effort to be in that space between sleeping and waking, and sometimes I fall asleep. So this happened this one night. It was bedtime anyway, so I did that. I went out, I reached out, I said, come back, and I came back to my, to my body, and I tried to stay in a meditative state, waiting for them to show up, and sure enough, I fell asleep. Now, I don't know what happened. A lot of intense spiritual transformations were going on. I was having visitations. This opened up visitations from all of my dead relatives. So I was working through a lot of old, karma from my life, which was really painful. And so I don't know, maybe I was just, who knows why, but I started to have this really horrible dream. And it was a dream that made me feel unloved and unappreciated. I think I was being rejected by some woman I loved, and it was a very intense emotional dream, and it was really painful. And I woke up from that, and I was almost suicidal. I was in so much pain, and I woke up and I went to the bathroom and I went back to bed, and I was trying to just crawl back to sleep. I was in so much pain. Sure enough, there was a being there. So my meditation had worked. Somebody had showed up, but the being either couldn't get through the intensity of my dream, or the being was just being polite and letting me sleep. So for whatever reason, after I woke up, and I did all this, I went back to bed. I became aware that there was a higher dimensional being in the room with me. And the being saw how much pain I was in. I mean, I was almost suicidal. I was in so much pain. And the being said, do you want my help? And I said, no, just leave me alone. Life is horrible. Everything sucks. Go away. Just leave me alone. I did that thing. And the being said one more time, are you sure you don't want my help? I can help you with this. And I went, oh, all right, not expecting anything. And what ended up happening was that there was this wave of energy that came into my body, into my heart center. And like a beautiful breeze, just blew all of that horrific emotion out of my body. And I was in disbelief. I mean, it wasn't that I got numbed out. It wasn't that I got, another feeling came that overtook it. It was literally like an energetic breeze that blew all of that sadness and pain and suicidal feelings completely out of my body. And I was kind of in shock and in disbelief. And, I think as a result of me not believing it was happening, the being did it a second time. And I'm not saying how or what the being did, but again, it felt like a breeze that was being put into me that then filled me with all of this clean, pure energy. And when it was done, I had no negative feelings whatsoever. I wasn't like blissed out or stoned. It wasn't like that. I was just sort of neutral. And it was like, wow. It wasn't that the awareness of what had happened had gone away. I was aware of the dream and the implications, and I kept on thinking about it, and I had stuff to work through. But I was just completely free of all of that emotion that was just completely, totally incapacitating me. Looking back in hindsight, that is one of the things that Buddha, perception, will do. True perception will give you an ability to have all of your feelings and not let them overtake you, destroy you, stimulate you, give you impulses. You'll be able to look at it and then ultimately get yourself into a place of stillness and awareness. And that's what that being gave to me in that particular instance. Now, I'm not making any promises. I can only tell you what happened to me. I'm just learning this like the rest of you guys. But in the Interdimensional meditation course, we're going to finish up. I'm going to guide you through a meditation to Mercury and to invite them back. And I'll tell you the techniques that I use to help me have a deeper experience of that. If you want to experience that, you can feel free to do it on your own. There's no reason why you can't go, research this type of meditation. If you want to have me guide you through exactly what I do, I'm more than happy to do that. Go to thunderwizard.com and scroll around until you see the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course. Subscribe. Go in and just press play and put on some headphones. I'll have some, little bit of music underneath to help put you in a shamanic state. And we will do this together. All right, that's it, my friends. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I do recommend getting the book Interdimensional Revolution if you haven't already done so, and as well the previous ET book to that, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. I recommend getting the audio version. You can go to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com, or you can go to Amazon and Kindle if you want there. And of course, subscribe, like, all kinds of stuff going on right now. We have a special, which is not going to last too much longer, which is the Solar Flash package. Literally just a week from now, and then it's going to go back to normal. Check it out. You can save, up to $5,000 on all of my teachings and certifications. That's it, my friends. I will see you over at the Interdimensional Revolution, where I will guide you through this meditation to Mercury. All right. Thanks for your time. See you soon.